Hello lovely stitchy friends, I'm Kat and welcome to my channel Catkin and Lily, where we talk all things cross stitch. If you're a returning viewer, then thank you so much for coming back to see what I've been getting up to. And if you're new to me, then I think this could be a really great time to find me, because today is my mid-year whip parade. So you'll get to see all the whips, that's the works in progress, that I've been working on, which is more than some, and definitely not as many as others. Now I was wondering whether to bother with a mid-year whip parade because I know there's so many, but it does seem like a lot of you were quite keen on it. And to be honest, I wanted to do it for myself as much as anything else because it's a really nice chance to actually catch up with all my whips and see where I've got to with everything. So it is Wednesday the 17th of July. And I've decided that rather than do my whips in order of when I started them, I'm going to split them up into sections, so potentially themed sections. So that also means that if you're not into, say, Christmas or Halloween, then you can skip those sections. And I will put timestamps for each individual whip as well. So again, you can skip forward and backwards, find the whips that you're particularly interested in if that's what you want to do. Now, in my last regular floss tube, I tried a slightly different approach of, instead of holding up my whips to show you, I actually put in some pictures of them. Now, I'm not going to do that for this whip parade because I kind of think for a whip parade there's something nice about actually holding all the whips up. I've got them in a huge pile off to the side of me here. So yeah, I think we'll hold them up so that you can see where I'm at, because of course I'm not going to be showing progress of where I was last time and where I am now. So I will talk about probably what I have been stitching most recently, but as I say, I'm not going to show progress. That's going to be kept for the regular floss tube videos. But I will have my information panels, so when I introduce each of the projects, there'll be a panel up on the side here that'll give you all the details about what I'm stitching with, show you the finished pattern of what it will look like when it's done, and fabric, all that kind of good stuff. Now, last time I did a whip parade, that was my end of year 2023 whip parade, and I had 10 whips, which felt like quite a lot for me because honestly, going back maybe 18 months, I only really had 2 or 3 on the go at any one time. So 10 whips at the end of last year, that did feel like quite a few for me. But would you like to guess how many I have now that you're going to see in this whip parade? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but feel free to have a guess. And I'm actually going to include a little whip counter somewhere on screen, somewhere down here, I don't know quite where, but I will include a little whip counter as we go so you can see how they're racking up, and I will reveal obviously the full number at the end and you can see how close you got. So the first section that I'm going to do is my fancy ladies, because I actually have 5 of them. Yes, 5 fancy ladies. And the first fancy lady that I ever started was Rossa by Bella Filipina. So this beautiful mermaid, and she was my first pick for a fancy lady and my first Bella Filipina because she wasn't too huge, so I thought it was a good jumping off point. I've certainly gone on to bigger ones since then. Now Rossa is at the point where I've finished all of the actual cross stitch and the back stitch, and I'm just on to beading. And in fact I've done a lot of the beading as well. So here she is. That is the beautiful Rossa, gorgeous colours. I'll bring her in a little bit so you can see the beading that I've been working on. So you can see I've been working on the beading up here, done all around her neck, down onto her tail, and obviously beading all at the bottom here as well. So that's where she's at, which is looking pretty good. And I started her, I didn't give you my start date, let me check. That was the 23rd of September 2023. It's going back a little way now, but as you'll know if you've been watching my regular floss tubes, I'm trying to get the beading done to take her to the framer on Friday the 19th of July. Yes, that is this Friday. So as you can see, I've done lots of the beading. But what I haven't done is there's a lot of beading. It's literally just one colour of bead that's all in the bubbles around her and swirly bits. And I don't know, it's so much to do. And I don't know if I want to do it or not. But I think maybe it does need it. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm doing with this. And I really have to decide. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this. You're going to have to keep watching my floss tubes to find out what I actually make my mind up on. So that one really kind of opened the floodgates for me on fancy lady stitching. And the second one I started was The Winter's Gift by Joan Elliott. And I started this one on the 9th of December 2023. So it's beautiful winter themed design, and starting it in December just felt really, really appropriate. And I stitched on her all the way through until February 2024, and then I put her aside because, as I say, it felt like a kind of winter project. But I got loads done back when I did stitch it, and here's where I got to. So that's where she's at. And you can see, if I bring it in, it's got some beautiful, there's some beautiful Kreinik in the dress at the bottom. And I think with this one, I even got as far as over on this side here. I actually even got some of the back stitch in. And I just love this. Look at that absolutely stunning shading. It is absolutely gorgeous. And obviously quite a large design. So there's still quite a lot. Looking at it now, I'm quite impressed by how much I actually got done in those, what was that, about 3 months. But as I say, I did put her aside because I felt like she was more of a winter project, and the intention was to pick her back up again in probably November time. But I do have her on my WhipGo board to stitch on her for 5 days. So it's possible that could get called earlier than November, so we might see her back out again in the next few months. And I would actually quite like that. That would be quite nice. That did get me perhaps a little bit hooked on Joan Elliott designs, because I then started another one. I started The Sorceress in March 2024. And I don't think this will be the last. It's the only 2 I have at the moment, but I'm sure I'll be stitching more Joan Elliott designs in future because they're just so beautiful. The way the colour is used and the way it flows, and they're such a delight to stitch. So here is The Sorceress. So again, it's a pretty big design, but I've done all of this. This bottom section is complete, apart from backstitch. And I've worked up to the chair, and now I've got obviously lots more to do. Let me see if I can bring this in and show you some of this gorgeous detail. So yeah, that's The Sorceress, and I've been working on her quite a bit recently, and there's so much to look forward to stitching this one. I'm really excited to get up to there's 2 birds in here. There's a crow, but particularly there is a gorgeous little owl right near the top. I can't wait to get to that because I really do love owls. So yeah, I'm really, really excited by this one. Fancy Lady number 4 is Gaia the Earth Goddess by Bella Filipina. So this was the second Bella Filipina design that I started, and it's been really stop-start. When I've had her out, I've worked on her for a few days and got a really good chunk done, and then put her aside for weeks and not touched her. But I've still got, I've got lots done, but she's really big again. There's still loads to do. There she is on this gorgeous blue fabric. Again, if I bring her in, you'll see I've got some Karen water lilies. This was my first time stitching with these at the bottom. As you'd expect, there's lots of beautiful Kreinik in there, and lots of gaps where beads are going to go. And I've got up to this lovely green section up here. Just absolutely stunning. So I started that one on the 2nd of May this year for my birthday start. And it was especially fun because I was joined by a couple of other stitchers as well, stitching on Gaia. So Andrew the Runner Stitcher and Emma from Emma Bobbins, they both started this for my birthday as well, which is just making it all the more fun. And I definitely recommend you check them out. I will leave links to them in the description below because they've got different fabrics and they're stitching on different bits. So it's just really nice to see the different progress that they're making and how different it looks on different fabrics. It's absolutely wonderful. So as I say, it's been a bit on and off, this one, the progress, but there will definitely be more stitching on it for the rest of the year and just see how much I can get done. And my final fancy lady is Julia the Firefly Princess. So this is my most recent fancy lady start, which was on the 31st of May this year. And she's also the one I've done least on. In fact, I think she's only had a few days. I think I had her out, 4 days. I stitched on her for 4 days when I started, and then I haven't actually touched her since. So she's probably next on my list to get out and work on. In fact, I was putting my bit of fabric on the board and I was actually trying to work out which way round it was because I've done so little and it's a bit random. So here she is. Again, this is one, I'm going to have to hold it all the way back here. You can't even really, it's hard to see what it is, but there's obviously bits of dress going up here. There's little sort of streamers and things. Let's see if I can show you a little bit more on that. It's lovely. Again, the colours are gorgeous. The detail on this is just beautiful. But yes, I've definitely stitched this one quite rogue and kind of just gone all the way up that side. So yes, I really, really hope I can get back to this one soon. I know I think that about all of my fancy ladies. I want to stitch on all of them all the time, and obviously that's not possible. So I do just kind of switch back and forth between them. I think Julia's definitely scheduled for some love soon. So the next theme section that I have is Halloween. And there's only 3 whips to show you in this one. And we are going from having seen probably what is my biggest whip, we're now going to my smallest whips. And I've got 2 at once for you here because this is the 2021 Halloween Club 1 designs by Shannon Christine Designs. And there's 2 in this and I'm actually stitching on both of them at the same time. So this is how far I've got with these. So Spell on You, I think this one's actually, I might have done all the stitching on this. It might be, well, just metallic stitching and beads, I think, to go on that one. And then this one, the Hocus Pocus, obviously I've got a bit more to do on that one. So I started Spell on You on the 28th of April and Hocus Pocus on the 23rd of May. And I stitched on them, I think, for a little bit, maybe into June, but then not much more. I think I really haven't touched them for at least a good month or so. But I will definitely aim to get these finished by Halloween this year. So that was a bit of a 2-for-1 special. And the other Halloween design that I'm working on is the Happy Halloween SAL from the Historical Sampler Company. So this is a very recent SAL that's just started. It's a 4-part SAL and each part is coming out every 2 weeks. So we've just had 1 part so far. And this has been very kindly gifted to me by the Historical Sampler Company. So I was very excited to dive in and get stitching. I started on the 9th of July 2024 and here we are. So I haven't finished all of part 1, but I do have a fantastic little stack of pumpkins and look at that adorable spider. He's very cute. So as with all of their designs, it's super cute to stitch. Super quick and easy. It's a really, really fun one to do. And I am definitely planning to keep up with this. Apart from there are some parts of motifs where half of it is in the part I've got and half is in a part that hasn't come out yet. And I probably won't stitch it until the full motif is out. And that is actually also why I do have, I know, I do have one hanging thread because I'm pretty sure this box is going to keep going. So I did leave a cheeky little thread there because I'm pretty sure I could probably even stitch along. I know it's going to happen, but no, I don't want to preempt it too much. But yeah, that's a super fun one, and that's actually all I have for Halloween. And that means we can move from Halloween into Christmas stitching. But we are actually sticking with the Historical Sampler Company and another SAL for the next one, because this is the Jingle Bell SAL. And this one is all completely done and dusted. The last part was out in November 2023. I started stitching it back in October 2023. And here's where I got to. You've got this beautiful, beautiful green fabric. It's obviously a kind of Advent style design with one kind of box and motif for each day. And so you can guess I've still got quite a lot more to go down here. Let's show you some of these gorgeous little motifs. Aren't they cute? Really beautiful. I'm definitely looking at this and wanting to stitch on it some more. So as I say, I stitched on this in, I think, October, November, December last year. And then I put it on timeout because Christmas was gone and past and I didn't really feel like stitching on it anymore. And the plan was to pull it back out and work on it for, well, with the aim of trying to finish it and frame it for Christmas this year. So that's probably not happening because I think it probably wants professionally framing and I don't think I'll manage to fit that in by the end of the year. But I will definitely come back and stitch on this one some more at some point this year. Now this next one is Christmas Round 2 by Shannon Christine Designs, which I started on the 8th of December 2023. And it's not a very big pattern, so I thought I would potentially finish it for Christmas last year. And it's a little bit silly that I haven't really, but I haven't. I'll show you and then I'll explain why. So this is where it's at. And you'll see the reason that I haven't finished it is I'd started doing this beading. And it was just looking a little bit clunky. I think the beads just felt a little bit big for the fabric and compared to the size of the stitching. So I kind of just put it aside thinking, no, I'm going to have to decide to do something with this. And of course I never did. So I do want to do something with it and I would like to get it finished for this year. And I think my plan is I'm going to replace some of the beads with gold metallic thread and either leave some of the beads or maybe swap them just for smaller beads. So definitely need to have a think about that and try and get it finished for this year really. Have you been keeping an eye on the whip counter? Did you see that last one? That's up to number 10 now. So same number as I had at my end of year whip parade, and we're still going and we're still in Christmas, with the next one being the Christmas mugs by Shannon Christine Designs. And this one, it's not strictly billed as a SAL, but it sort of is. It's at least one mug released every month for 12 parts to make one larger design. Or I guess you could stitch them individually. But I'm stitching them all as one. Well, I say I'm stitching them all as one. I feel a little bit shameful about this one because I absolutely adore it and I just haven't been making time to stitch on it. So there are now 8 mugs out already and, well, let's see where I'm up to. Oh, we have 1 mug. Yeah. I mean, it's very cute. Very cute. And I adore the lacy borders. I love these holly. Yeah. I really do love this one. And as I say, I just haven't made the time for it. But I definitely will. I definitely do need to try and put that in on my planner somewhere. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. I do think I might still go with a plan I had to maybe stitch 9 mugs instead of 12. Because there's a couple that I like less than the others. But of course that means playing around with the placement a bit. So again, it's just that bit more thought process to go into it, which is maybe what's putting me off a little bit, but yeah. I don't think it'll be finished for this year. I think that might be optimistic, but I'd like to make some more progress at least. My final Christmas whip that I have to share with you is Christmas Rules by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I started this one on the 14th of July. So yes, just a few days ago. This is indeed a cheeky new start that I haven't actually shown anywhere. It hasn't been on my regular floss tube because I only started it a few days ago. And I really fancied a jolly July bit of stitching. So Christmas in July, and yeah, I absolutely could have, possibly should have, but I will not should on myself. Could have been stitching the Christmas mugs that I've just shown you. But when a new start calls to you, you do not say no. So here's my little start. That is just so pretty. And I've got some beautiful variegated thread that I'm using for the red. I'll show you the thread in a minute actually, because it is lovely. So it's mostly using DMCs this, but I do have this gorgeous thread. This is from Cottage Garden Threads and it's called Victor. I'll see if it will show you. I don't know if I can hold it up like that so that you can see the variegation on there. That is absolutely beautiful. Really beautiful. So yeah, that was my choice. The pattern gives you a DMC or a Gentle Art cranberry that does have a tiny bit of variation, but one of you lovely folks kindly told me that it didn't have a huge amount of variation in the cranberry. So I've picked this thread instead, and I think it's looking gorgeous. So yes, can't wait to stitch some more on that one. The next little section that I have for you is my SALs. So that's stitch alongs. Obviously, apart from the couple that you've already seen, there was a Christmas and Halloween stitch along in there as well. And the first of my SALs is the Wonders of the James Webb Space Telescope SAL by Climbing Goat Designs. I started this one on the 20th of February 2024, and it is a 10-part SAL. So I think the final one, it's coming out monthly. The final one is coming out in October this year. So we've still got a little way to go. We have had 6 parts out so far. The first part was all the hexagon frames and 1 picture. And then all the releases since then have been 2 pictures. Now these are all little images that have been taken by the James Webb Space Telescope and lovingly converted into beautifully detailed little pixel art. And I'm stitching this, I guess, in honour of lovely husband Dr. Tim, because he did a master's and then a PhD in astronomy and continued doing research after that, and has even worked on a European Space Agency space telescope called Herschel. But yeah, it's a subject that's very close to his heart, so I felt like it would be really fun to stitch this one pretty much for him. And here's where I've got to. So you can see I've got 2 hexagon frames missing down the bottom, and I've done all the pictures in, I think, parts 1, 2 and 3. I'm working on, this is the second picture in part 4 that I'm working on, and simultaneously one from part 5. Let's see. This one doesn't love doing close-ups, but I will try. It's probably because it's so confetti heavy. You can see all these really different images that are coming out. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to stitch. It's fun. It's not the easiest to stitch because it is dark fabric. It's a 16 count, which shrunk to an 18 count. So I just work on this one for maybe about 30 minutes a day and probably about 3 or 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. So it's a very slow, steady progress with this one. I'm not trying to keep up with the SAL, and yeah, just plodding along at my own pace with it. The next SAL I have is the Deadly Aquarium SAL by Lola Crow. And I started this one on 17th of May 2024, and I know quite a few other people who are stitching on this and loving it as much as I am. It's a 14-part SAL, with part 1 being the frame and then 13 little exhibits to stitch, the last of which will be out on 30th of August. And we have had up to and including exhibit 7. So that's, yeah, oh, we're halfway through. So that's exciting. Well, the parts are halfway through. I'm not halfway through, because here's where I'm at. Let's try and get that in. That is, as you can see, I have not even yet finished the frame. I've got a bit of frame up here to do, and I've still got the frame on this side. I have stitched exhibits 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I'm working on 5, 6 and 7 is as a whole block. It's actually from this corner, all this up here and comes down this side. So I'm kind of working on 5, 6 and 7 all at the same time. I've got bits from, I think this is from 5. This bit might be from 6, and I think this is from 7. So you can see I'm just sort of working all of that together. I think my favourite is still the pufferfish though. He's just adorable. Oh, that little pufferfish. Absolutely love him. So this one is just full of deadly but actually quite cute looking creatures. And I really love with this one that you get information with each release as to what the creatures are and how deadly they are. Some are very deadly, some not so much. But yeah, this one is hugely fun to stitch on. I'm really loving it. I love how it looks. And as I say, I'm not quite caught up, but I'm not crazy far behind. So yeah, I will obviously just keep working on that one. And my final SAL is the Arctic Animals by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I started this one on the 24th of May this year. And this one is, how many parts? It's 11-part SAL. The releases are coming out every 4 weeks. So I'm hoping it might be possible to pretty much stay caught up with this one. I'm not at the moment, but there's a good reason for that, because part 3 has only just come out. So I haven't dived into part 3. I have done parts 1 and 2. So 1 was the foxes and the voles, and part 2 was this walrus, who is just the cutest. Look at that face. Look at the teethies. Yeah. This is one where I can't stop going, oh my goodness, it's so cute. It's all cute. Absolute cuteness overload in this one. So obviously I can't wait to stitch part 3, which is the caribou. And yeah, I'm definitely aiming to get that done before the next part comes out, but I haven't started it yet. Okay, so we are now motoring on into the final stretch of the whips. We are up to 15, and we're now into basically everything else that doesn't fit into any category. And the first one is Wildflower Wreath by Dimensions. This is my very, very oldest whip. Started somewhere in 2018. I mean, it's so old compared to the rest. The oldest whip I have other than this one is from September 2023. So everything else is that you're seeing today, not even a year old. This one is ridiculously old. And here we are. So beautiful, beautiful wildflowers. And I'd stitched a lot of it. I'd stitched most of this. No, which side? This side. I'd stitched this side way back, and then I'd got to sort of up about here, I think. And then I picked it, it went away for years. And I've picked it back up this year and started stitching from about here up. So it came out for a whip go call to do 5 days, which is when I stitched all of this. And it's actually on my whip go board for another 5 days. And I'm actually thinking I might be able to finish it in those 5 days if I really, really push hard. There's a lot of backstitch to do on here though that I haven't done. So that's really tricky to estimate how long that's going to take. But it would be really nice to actually get this one ticked off, given how old it is, compared to everything else. Now, funnily enough, this next one actually is my next oldest whip, because this is Chromatic Dragon. And this one I started in, September 2023. Now, this one's also going to stay being my oldest whip for a long time because it's so huge. But I am having a lot of fun with this. I don't mind it being a very long-running whip. That's kind of the point of this. And here's where we are. Oh, get my fingers out of the way. That's where it is. I'll try and give you a little bit of a look at this if I can. Look at that. The colours in this are absolutely spectacular. I've been enjoying stitching some of the turquoisey bits over this way. Enjoying stitching all this black up here. A little bit less so. So yes, obviously this one is not going to be finished anytime soon. It's going to be running for probably at least a good couple of years in the background while I work on all these other whips as well. Oh, and just to say, this one is at 46,626 stitches, which is 22.3%. So it's not too bad. Over 20%. It's actually pretty good. Now, progress has been really variable on this actually, because I've had periods where I haven't stitched on it loads, but I've also had a couple of whip go calls for putting in 5,000 stitches on it, and I've done that twice in the year, so that really pushed it forwards. So yeah, I really don't have any clue how long it's going to take me to stitch. I think my app does actually tell me that, but I've sort of stopped looking because it's not, I don't really mind. I stitch on it when I stitch on it, and it'll be finished when it's finished. Next, we have Four Seasons Spring by Derwentwater Designs and Bothy Threads. And I started this one on the 21st of March 2024. So obviously started it in spring. It's a lovely spring design. And I stitched it actually not all that much. I think it only had, it's had about 10 days, mostly in March and April. And then it's just kind of, it's just fallen to the back of the line really. But here's where I'd got to. It is such a pretty design. The colours are beautiful. It's really lovely. But yeah, it's definitely, it's kind of fallen out of favour. It stopped being spring and I've just been wanting to stitch on other things. And honestly, I think I may not pick this one back up again until spring next year. That's absolutely fine. We are still going, but I promise you we are getting very close to the end. And this next one is Frog by Hoops and Crosses. And in fact, I think until that cheeky Christmas rules start, this was my most recent start on the 15th of June this year. And I've been taking this one into work to stitch, and I also stitched on it while there were some football matches recently. Well, there's no more football matches, but I think I'll just keep taking it into work to work on. And here he is in all his wonky-eyed glory. So he's all done apart from the back stitch, and I've done 3 rainbow colours. Just started in on the yellow. So yeah, just got the rainbow to finish stitching. It's quite a lot of stitches in there, but yeah, fairly straightforward stitching. Bit of back stitch on the frog, and hopefully I will get him finished up soon. And the final whip, yes, we have got there. The final whip I have for you is Woodland Fox. And this is one of my own designs that I'm working on. So I ummed and ahed about whether to include this because it's one of my own that I'm test stitching, but it's a whip, so it does need to go in there. And here is where it is, which is not the most impressive. I have a bit of a fox, not all of a fox. And yeah, it sort of stopped there because I needed to tweak various bits of the rest of the design that were not looking super great. And I've done that now, and I've picked out colours for the grass, the tree stump and the mushrooms. So I'm looking forward to getting back to stitching some more of this, and hopefully I can show some good progress on that in my regular floss tubes for you. So that is everything. That is all my whips, which is a slightly terrifying total of 20 whips. I don't think even I realised I had quite that many until I had to pull them all together for this whip parade. And how many did you guess I was going to have? Did I have more or less than you thought? Now I do have one more planned start for July, so that's going to actually tip me over the 20 mark, unless I can get Rossa finished, so fingers crossed I guess. So where does that leave me for the rest of 2024? It leaves me juggling a lot of whips, to be honest. But I can't tell you how excited I am by every single one of these whips. So I think that's a great place to be, that I just get really excited whenever I get to pull any of these whips out and work on them. That's just brilliant, and I do love the variety. That said, I may need to rein in the new starts a little bit because it is getting a little bit crazy, and I do sometimes have so many, I'm like, oh, I don't know which one I want to work on. So maybe I will rein in the new starts, but I am definitely not promising anything. I definitely have a lot of things on my want to stitch list, so yeah, who can say? You'll just have to watch my regular floss tubes to find out, I guess. And on that note, if you've enjoyed seeing all my projects and my general cross-stitch chat, then I would be delighted if you subscribed so you won't miss a single stitch. Drop me a comment to let me know which of my many whips you love the most, and perhaps if you're stitching any of them as well. I'll be back with a regular floss tube next Wednesday. So until then, thank you so much for watching, happy stitching, and bye for now.